Okay, back to the dinim of Kiddush. Okay, so we're discussing a mavoshel wine, the applications of it, and so on. Okay, the cup has to be clean, it has to be not broken, it can be chipped. Okay, now we also started discussing the halachos have to be covered. Why? There's two reasons. Either because the man was covered top and bottom with dew, or because it shouldn't be embarrassed. Okay, now the thing is like this. When you make Kiddush, normally during the week, if you're going to be washing for hamotzi, but before you wash, you ate something. You ate a fruit, you ate a piece of cake, whatever. Halachically, you have to make an after bracha before you washed, because benching, birchas hamazon, only covers what was eaten during the meal. What was eaten before the meal, birchas hamazon benching doesn't cover it. So therefore, during the week, let's say, whatever, or you eat something before you wash, you have to make an after bracha. So now the question is, so you make Kiddush Friday night, why don't you have to make an after bracha on the wine before you go wash for hametzi? Because it's not part of the meal. So halacha says it is part of the meal, because you're not allowed to eat without Kiddush. So Kiddush has to be b'makom suda. So in order to eat the meal, you need to make Kiddush. So therefore the wine of Kiddush is actually part of the meal, and therefore it's included that you don't have to make a bracha afterwards. Some people say you do, but the halacha is not like, what?
When you say the Kiddush, you have the bread on the wine, and you have the bread. Does that have to be the same challah, or can you put one challah and then go challah that is?
You could change it, but like, why would you? I mean, put
the... You want it to get warm, and it's not warm.
Okay, so then it doesn't have to be the same challah. There should be challahs on the table when you make Kiddush. In the time of the Gemara, by the way, they didn't have that. In the time of the Gemara, you see by the Seder, they would bring something. Years ago, they didn't have big tables like we had. They sat on the floor, basically, and they would have these little... So when they made Kiddush, they didn't even have a challah yet. They bring the challah later, and then they brought the different foods they would bring later. But, when you have you're supposed to have the challah. It doesn't have to be the same challah, no. Okay, now... What happens if you drink wine again during the meal? So you drink wine with Kiddush, and then after the fish, let's say you want to make a l'chaim and wine. So you don't have to make a new bracha, because the prei priagofen that you made before hametz in the Kiddush, that covers the wine that you make using during the meal also. Now normally during the week, let's say you go home for dinner tonight, and you're having a meal, and you're washing for bread, and in the middle of the meal you want to drink wine. So then the din is you have to make a brei priagofen and wine. Hametzi does not cover brei priagofen. Whether it covers whiskey, is two opinions in halacha. We hold that it covers it. You don't have to make a bracha on whiskey. What?
What if the wine was on the table? Was like wine you brought it out and you didn't have the intent of getting on the other one? It still counts. You mean when you make Kiddush, you didn't think you're drinking wine during the meal? Yeah.
If you didn't think you're drinking wine, or you thought you're not drinking wine, then you would have to make a new bracha. But no, normally it's assumed when you make Kiddush, it's an assumption. People, normally people will drink wine during the meal,
But you wouldn't make the bracha.
Then you wouldn't make a bracha. What? Okay, we're not talking about Teva Meitiv, no? Yeah, I told you could do that. Okay, but by Kiddush, because you made Kiddush and you made brei priagofen, then any wine that you drink during the meal is still covered. What?
When was wine instituted to add into the Kiddush?
After the biblical, generally speaking, all the rabbinic issues we have came from the Anshe Knesset Agdola, men of the Great Assembly, which was the beginning of the second Bais Din. Now, did they make Kiddush and wine earlier? I don't know. But like all brachas, all the brachas we have was instituted by Anshe Knesset Agdola. Now, did they make brachas before? Maybe people had their own personal bracha that they said. But the way we have brachas today, that the halacha is if you change the text of the bracha, you're not fulfilling your obligation. That is from Anshe Knesset Agdola. And all the 7 mitzvahs of Rabbanan, they were all given to Moshe ben Har Sinai, but the ones that instituted them openly were the Anshe Knesset Gedolah.
Let's say someone comes in after the Kiddush, they walk in and they bring a bottle of wine. That's also included, right?
Yeah. Okay, next. So you have to have Kiddush, and then you have your meal, and your bench, you have to say Ritzeh, all that stuff. Now, during the day, we also make Kiddush, right? Shabbos morning. But the question is but that Kiddush is only a B'rei Pri HaGofen. Friday night we have a bracha B'rei Pri HaGofen, Yom HaShishi B'rei Pri HaGofen, Asheket Shan B'mitzvaysav. By Havdalah we have B'rei Pri HaGofen, Baruch Hashem, Amavdu Ben Kodesh L'chol. Because like we were learning when we started this about Kiddush, the mitzvah, there's a biblical mitzvah to sanctify Shabbos. You don't sanctify something in the middle of the day. You sanctify it when it starts. You say, now we're starting a holy day. When Shabbos leaves, you say, now we're separating from holy to chol. Okay? So ideally, Kiddush, the mitzvah of Kiddush, is when Shabbos begins and when Shabbos ends. Kiddush and Havdalah. That's how you sanctify Shabbos, from Kiddush and Havdalah. So now the question is, why do we have Kiddush by day? And the Kiddush by day is very strict, by the way. Just like you're not allowed to eat before the night Kiddush, you're not allowed to eat before the day Kiddush. Even water you're not allowed to drink before the day Kiddush. So what's the purpose of the day Kiddush? So it says in halacha the following. Of the main meals, your Friday night meal, Shabbos day meal, and then Shalosh Shudas. The main halachic meal of Shabbos is the day meal. That's the main meal halachically. Therefore it says in halacha, if you have a better food, you shouldn't eat it Friday night, you should save it for Shabbos day. Because that's the covered Shabbos of the meal of the day is more important than the Friday night meal. So Chazal say, Friday night meal you make Kiddush. The Shabbos day meal, which is more important, it doesn't look right you don't make Kiddush. But you can make Kiddush because you can't sanctify something in the middle of the day. So therefore Chazal instituted what is the Kiddush? B'rei Pri HaGofen. That you can make. You can make a bracha on wine anytime you want. So you make a B'rei Pri HaGofen. In fact, if you say Asad al-Sadasa, you say B'Kiddusha Rabbah. It's called the big Kiddush. So simply it's like the opposite, like you say something, like you say Sagi Nahar, a person that can't see, you call him Sagi Nahar, which in Aramaic means an abundance of light. So similarly, like it's sarcastic, it's a big Kiddush because you only make B'rei Pri HaGofen. But in reality, it's Kiddush Rabbah. There's an advantage that Kiddush is holier than the Kiddush Friday night.
So technically, day Kiddush is not part of the meal, so you should say after bracha.
No. But because Chazal said you can't eat the meal Shabbos day without Kiddush either, you're not allowed to eat anything. You're allowed to drink water before Kiddush. So therefore, again, it's part of the meal. You're not allowed to eat the meal until you make Kiddush. So therefore, it is part of the meal. So they also, you don't make an after bracha. But I'll give you an example. Rosh Hashanah night, the second night, when you eat the new fruit. So you make Kiddush, and then you eat the new fruit, and then you go wash. So over there, if you eat enough of the fruit, you have to make an after bracha. Because it's not, and then you're going wash, so it's not part of the washing meal. Because you're eating it before. So taka you have to make, if you eat enough for kazayis, then you have to make an after bracha.
How then on Shabbat do you do an offer? We know it's supposed to be for the kids, but we know the adults eat the candies too. If you're not supposed to eat anything for Kiddush, why are you passing out food during Tefillah?
You're not passing out food. You're throwing candies at the chassan.
Right.
They're not supposed to be eaten. Kids could eat them halachically. Adults should not eat from the candies halachically. If you ask halachically, they should not eat the candies until after they make Kiddush. Why do you throw candies? There's nothing to do. I mean, you can have water and shul. That doesn't mean people could drink water. I mean, it doesn't. One thing has nothing to do with the next. You throw candies. It's a siman bracha. What?
So you're not able to do on Shabbos day, Kiddush. You don't have wine. You can't make it on bread. Only the Friday night you're able to do on bread.
No, Friday night, Shabbos day, you can make on challah. There's no wine. Okay. Friday night, you can only make it on wine or challah. Shabbos day, because it's not that important Kiddush, right? There's just for the day meal. So many people make it on whiskey. You ever see people make Kiddush on a little shot glass of whiskey? They say, they don't make Brei Priagofen, I hope. They say, why do you see that people, while we're on the topic, why do you see that people, Shabbos day, make Kiddush on a little, you need a revius. We said you need a full-size Kiddush cup. How can you make Kiddush Shabbos day on a little 1 ounce shot glass of whiskey? You couldn't do it on wine, by the way. Nobody says you could do it on wine. So the reason for that is based on halacha on the Taz. The Taz in the laws of after bracha says that even though normally you need a revius to make an after bracha on soda, juice, water, whatever, you need to have 3 ounces, right, a revius to be able to make an after bracha. But the Taz holds, not everybody agrees with him, the Magen Avram doesn't, but the Taz holds that if it's something like whiskey, it's so potent that 1 ounce of whiskey is like 3 ounces, this is what he holds, 3 ounces of juice. So therefore, according to the Taz, if you drink 1 ounce of whiskey, you have to make an after bracha. We don't pass like that, but that's what the Taz holds. So based on that, many great Polish Rebbes, I'm talking great Polish Rebbes of yesteryear, they would make Kiddush Shabbos morning on this ounce full of mashke, and they would make a shackle and drink it.
What is this 1/32nd of an ounce and 1/64th of an ounce of alcohol?
Huh?
There is this limitation of 1/32nd of an ounce of alcohol, 1/16th.
I don't know. With all due respect, I don't know what you're talking.
Can drink if you have a simcha that can drink it before you do the musaf.
If you made Kiddush.
Yeah. But
No.
the amount of alcohol will not be more than 1/32nd of an ounce.
I told you there's more things I don't know than I do know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Can you use it other people by saying
Those opinions that hold you could, yeah.
You can do Kiddush on whiskey. You can on Shabbat morning.
I just said.
You have to drink about an ounce.
And 1 ounce? Yeah.
Before Shacharit, you can do it.
Before, okay. We were talking about this the other day. Before Shacharis, in the non-Hasidic world, the Litvische world, they hold that if you, even the women that want to eat, let's say before davening, they must make Kiddush before they eat. They hold that Kiddush, the obligation of Kiddush starts as soon as you wake up in the morning. You're not allowed to eat or drink until Kiddush. In more the Hasidic world, they hold that the obligation of Kiddush begins after you daven Shacharis. Once you said the Amid of Shacharis, that's when the obligation of Kiddush. So if you eat before davening, we hold you don't have to make Kiddush.
What you said or when you start? Once you start.
When you said the Amida. Now if you're making Kiddush in the middle of the Amida, you have more problems than that.
So many places for Shabbat Brachim, they bring like cakes and stuff.
Where? In the Chabad places. In the Hasidic places, yeah, because we according to the way our poskim hold, that it's only after Shacharis you're obligated in Kiddush. Now what happens if somebody wakes up 12 o'clock Shabbos morning, and so can they eat before davening? I guess if they didn't daven Shacharis, yes, they could. Huh? Mach Hashem z'no ma'aseh ma'amech v'evil ma'in kim shivla galtei, Rabbi Chanan Gashem Med.